WRKE News Now presents a News Now special report with Elijah Wilhelm.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Elijah Wilhelm, and we welcome you to a live News Now special report, Witness to Innocence, the Sabrina Butler story. I am joined today by Sabrina Butler herself. Sabrina, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Sabrina is one of only 2 women to ever be exonerated from death row. Sabrina was a teenage mother who was convicted of murder and child abuse in the death of her 9-month-old son. She spent more than 5 years in prison and 33 months on death row for a crime she did not commit. Sabrina, I hear death penalty advocates all the time say that we have all of these safeguards in places in courts and that no one innocent would be sentenced to death. But yet, here you sit. What went wrong?
Well, there were a lot of components in my case. It was, number one, it was racially motivated. I didn't have good attorney representation, and the district attorney was overzealous.
So they just wanted blood?
Pretty much. And that's what they went for.
So what happened to your son?
My son stopped breathing one night, and me being 17 at the time, didn't know how to apply CPR. And the way I applied CPR, I guess that was murder to them. And that's basically what happened in the case to start.
So you were convicted of murder for trying to save your son?
Yes.
So the people that prosecuted you, the jury that convicted you, they took over 7 years of your life and they tried to take your life completely. Do you hold a grudge against them?
Well, at first I did. First 3 years of going through this case, I was a very angry person because I was like, to the thought that I took my son to the hospital for help and they called me a murderer. Yes, I was angry, but I had to get over, I had to learn how to forgive and to try to change my life as opposed to what they had already done to me.
How did you get over it?
Well, I got over with a lot of prayer and what I do now. I speak to a lot of different audiences and people trying to tell them about my case, hoping to affect a change, and in the same instance, it's self-healing for me as well.
So I've done a lot of research on the death penalty, and one thing that I'll never be able to understand, and I hope I will never understand, is what it's like to be told that you are going to be killed by your state. I mean, what does that do to your psyche? When
they first sentenced me to die, at first I was like, I didn't know how to feel. I mean, me being that young, and at the time I went before the court, I was like a little over 18, so I was shocked and hurt at the same time. I didn't know how to feel.
Did you think about it a lot? When you were in your cell?
I did. I thought about it. My actual death date was July the 2nd of 1990, and I actually thought that they actually could carry out a death sentence because no one told me that the state had to exhaust all state remedies before they could actually carry out a death sentence. So that was a scary moment for me. Very scary.
What was it like when you first heard that date? What went through your head?
I just didn't know what to think. I mean, I was shocked.
Do you think about that when that date passes every year?
No, not now like I used to. It took me about 10 years to get used to being out after this happened to me, to be able to, function as I'm functioning now. So I'm doing a lot better now as opposed to where I was when I first got out. So I don't think about that, no.
Was there ever a point where you thought, I'm not going to escape this. This is my fate?
When it first happened to me, yeah, I did. Going through, yeah, I did. Because as the years passed by, that's what I thought, I started giving up, for the moment. I just wanted it to be over,
What was that like?
It was hard. Because, I had family that were, like my mom and stuff. Everybody was talking to me, trying to keep me, sane in this same instance, When I would have calls to be able to call home, my mom would talk to me or I would get letters. But, I had to come to that conscious choice myself to decide how to change my way of thinking.
How did they handle it?
It was very traumatic. My mother, she went homeless trying to help me. She got threatened. My brothers, it was hard for my family. It was very hard.
So before this ordeal, what were your thoughts on capital punishment?
I never thought about it because I was only 17, so I didn't think like that. My thing was having fun. You know, who thinks like that at 17? Nobody really.
What about now?
I'm on it now. I mean, I know capital punishment needs to be changed. It's not set right. It's racially motivated, and it's expensive. It doesn't deter crime, you know, and I just think that we need to step back and look at this system as a whole, as how it's being applied, and it's not applied correctly.
So you talk about it being racially motivated, in your case specifically being racially motivated. What do you mean by that?
In my case, I had two blacks in my on the jury pool, but one was an alternate. But I made one black and the rest of them were white on my jury. And the district attorney, he took the jury to a picnic while they were supposed to be sequestered. He talked to all the doctors and the nurses, and they actually knew what was going on. He struck most of the black jurors from my case to begin with. And he was particularly trying to find people that were for the death penalty, and mostly white people.
I find it very interesting, you know, that prosecutors are not supposed to mark people off because of race or things like that, but it's okay to mark them off because they don't agree with the death penalty when it's a death penalty trial. I think that's just unfair to you because, you know, you're looking for people that are already hungry for blood, and when you're adding racial tensions on top of that, it just makes it a completely unfair system.
Yes, it does. I mean, I just think that if you are going to, the reason why I feel that the death penalty needs to, it doesn't need to be, if you're going to apply the death penalty, why not apply it to all people that you got charged with murder? Not give it to some. And some people get a shake, you know, they get different sentences or whatever. It's just, I feel as long as you got a human element surrounding the death penalty, you'll never get it right. And you're re-victimizing the victims over and over and over again. You know, the death penalty is costly, and you steady have to do appeal after appeal after appeal. I mean, why? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. At least with a life sentence, you know, the victims will know that, you know, where the perpetrator is or whatever. But those that have been sentenced to crimes that they didn't commit is most heinous. And it's torture. It's torture to us. Because you have taken away our livelihood and victimized us wrongly.
Absolutely. So, what are the chances in your mind that there are innocent people sitting on death row right now as we speak?
What are the chances? I know there's people on death sitting in prison right now for crimes they didn't commit. I know that for a fact.
How many?
Well, the ones that I know for so far in my town where I'm from is like 5. But I'm sure it's more.
So there are people in your town still on death row.
That's right.
That's crazy.
I know it.
So the prosecutor that went after your case, is he still...
No, it took us 30 years to get him out of office. He's no longer the prosecuting attorney. Thank God.
Wow. How many people did he sentence to death? Do you know?
Coming out of my county alone, they overturned 4 death penalty cases. Which he did.
Out of your county?
Out of my county alone, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Arkansas is planning to execute 8 people within 10 days. 4 days of doing 2 a day. Using midazolam, a drug that has had many issues in previous executions. What's wrong with this?
It's crazy. I mean, why in the world... How could they kill these people like that? I mean, I understand their crimes, whatever people did wrong. Killing is wrong. Don't get me wrong. But you killing too. So how is that any better? And they're using a drug that seems like it should be illegal. I mean, you know, something should be said to the fact that they're fixing to try to kill these many people. I just don't understand it. America is in such a rush to kill now to where it's unbelievable. To think that, you know, you want to protect society, but you're doing what the people that are not in society have done.
Right. Who says, you know, who's right?
Yeah.
If you're doing the exact same crime.
I just don't know how to wrap my head around that. I think it's crazy.
What do you say to families who are the victims, you know, the victim's family, who say that this is only the right thing to do, that this is justice, that this is, you know, closure for them? What do you say to that?
I mean, with the victims, there's nothing that I could say to bring back their love. There's nothing that I could say. And I can only say I'm sorry for that. But I just feel like if we revisit the death penalty and check out how they're applying it and see that it's wrong and try another option, I think there's another alternative to the death penalty. And I think that, this is not helping the victims. It's not helping them. It's re-victimizing them.
What would be your option?
I mean, I believe in a life sentence. I do. If you commit a crime, and it's punishable by, what I mean. I think you should serve time. I do. I really believe in it, but I just don't believe in the death penalty. I don't.
So, what have you lost from this experience? I mean, you've lost 7 years plus of your life, but what else have you lost from this besides that and your son?
Well, that was the number one thing I was going to say. I lost my son. And I lost years of my life. You don't know what I could have been. I mean, I didn't get a chance to go through high school. I didn't get a chance to do nothing in my younger years. You took that from me. So, I mean, and now, right now, at the age I am now, I'm just now trying to do what I should have done back there.
What did they say to you? Hey, sorry?
Oh, sorry. Hey, you out. Let's let you go. Just the same way they put me in there, the same way they let me out.
So you did not get any restitution or anything like that?
In 2009, the state passed compensation laws for exonerees who were wrongfully convicted, and they gave me, quote unquote, what they felt that I should have.
But that was decided by the state?
That was decided by the state, right.
So they obviously took a lot from you.
Right.
But what have you gained from this experience?
Well, what I've gained is my sense of structure. I've gained, I've really taught myself a lot. Going through this and self-healing.
To people who are on death row right now, who shouldn't be there, or even to those who should be there, what do you say to them?
Well, that's why I try to fight as hard as I can out here. To talk with those who can't talk for themselves, and to say that, hopefully with prayer and thought that we can change the system. And that, I mean, one person, I know they say it takes a village or whatever, but, I hope that by my story and by not only my story, but the organization I work with, which is Witness to Innocence, and it's all exonerees, as a whole, we go around and we speak to a lot of different people, and I hope and pray that eventually our stories will bring about a change, to help them.
Absolutely. So one thing I want to touch on real quick is, you are one of 2 women who have ever been exonerated from death row. Mm-hmm. Women account for 10% of the murder convictions, but only 1% of executions. Why is that?
I don't think society looks at it as a woman thing, I don't really think they think that the women should, be on death row, get killed like men do. I think they do men a little worse, but there are women that's on death row. And we're not as looked at as much, and I think that's why they don't look at it as women. It's a women thing.
So men can be treated worse.
Yeah, women. I mean, we're still treated worse.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm saying we're under the radar as opposed to men.
No, it's just the fact that they're obviously seeing that there's an issue with this punishment, that they're only going to give it to men most of the time.
Right.
That should be a red flag that there is an issue with this.
Right. But I think society has a different version and vision of the way it's supposed to be,
Absolutely. Well, Sabrina, I want to thank you so much for being here today and for talking about your experience.
Thank you.
You can hear more from Sabrina tonight in Massengill Auditorium at 7:30 p.m. And you can also purchase her book, Exonerated, the Sabrina Butler Story, online at sabrinabutler.web.com. For WRKE News Now, I'm Elijah Wilhelm. Thanks for listening.